Hello, everyone. My name is Rodney Veal. I'm the host of Rodney Veal's Inspired By, and today we are going to have a conversation with someone whose title is DJ, but I think he is much more than a DJ. I think he's a creative force. He was born and raised here in Dayton, Ohio, but has scaled to
I was born in Lansing, Michigan, but been in Dayton since I was 8 to 23.
8 to 23. So
These facts right. So keep going. My bad. Let's
Fact verification.
Flow on, brother.
Flow on. I'm going to flow on. That's awesome. And so absolutely right. He's like transplanted to Dayton, Ohio at 8. But, we claim you because once you're here for a while.
I claim y'all too. We claim each other.
We claim each other. And so what's really exciting about that is the fact that he's, like I said, he's more than a DJ. He's bringing art and music and culture and people together as a calling and a mission. And that's who he is. And so I'm super excited because I've gotten to know him, and we're going to talk about one of the events that he's bringing to Dayton, has brought to Dayton, and will continue to bring to Dayton, crossing our fingers because it's not even crossing fingers, it's just going to happen.
We're turning things on. We're not just, bopping in. This isn't
this is more
one and done, This is community building.
Absolutely. And so I'm going to introduce you to Kimyon Huggins. Kimmy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me, Rodney. It's a pleasure to be here to just share with the local crowd, the local folks, what we've been doing, what Dayton inspired me to go out and do and come back.
Absolutely. And
share.
Absolutely. We want that story out there. So I am always a proponent of, we don't always become the thing that we claim that we wanted to be when we were children. So I always want to go back to like childhood. Did you ever in a million years think that DJing and art would be your thing?
Well, like we touched on a little bit in our previous conversation, I don't really feel that it's presented as an option for artists, for people to be artists. It's like a doctor, a lawyer, an architect, a cop, a firefighter, right. Or my family's business. It's never really offered. It wasn't offered to us as kids in the 80s. I can only speak from my own experience and like what was happening around me. No one's parents were professional artists in Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah. Well, we had them all. They're all here.
But like that wasn't my world, right? My mom was director of civil service for the city of Dayton from 1983 to 2024, I think.
Wow.
So she was the highest unelected official in the city government as a black woman. Who was brought in to get the cronyism out of the city government. And she did it. And she fought every single day with people sitting in these positions of power. But that was my, I did not have my father in my life, so my mother was my everything.
And so,
So she was in the paper, fighting with the mayor, fighting with the police chief, doing the right thing, right? Her history, too, just to speak on my mother's legacy, she went to Bennett College in Greensboro in 63, 64, she was there. So she was getting arrested, sitting at the lunch counters, marching with Martin Luther King and that whole scene. So she went from there to Michigan State, where she was working in minority student affairs, and then she got the job in Dayton as the director of civil service. So, she's always been this pillar of integrity and doing what's right, and also a leader of our community in a position of power that was under attack for her whole tenure.
Her whole tenure, and
the whole time. So
that's
how we got here.
And that's a solid foundation. Mm-hmm. I mean, that kind of prepped you for seeing the world in a different lens.
I think that her, and I went to Our Lady of Mercy, I went to CJ. I think that the beauty of Chaminade Julienne High School was the diversity, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the real breadth of like demographics, socioeconomic demographics were very vast there. We had friends that were in the projects. We had friends who were in $1 million Tudor mansions in the south of town, right?
Right.
And we all hung out. And then that made our, area, our stomping grounds, if you will, a very broad swath of the area, right?
Yeah, that changed.
So that's really where I think that's where I recognize my social network. Being interracial and racially ambiguous before Obama was crazy, right? But I found that in my maturity, that's why we're here. That's why we're born into this body this way, right? Not to get too deep or esoteric, but
Why not?
our mission is to be ambassadors of humanity and say, no, I'm a human. I'm black, I'm white, I'm Jewish, I'm native, I'm all of that. I'm all that, but I'm not one of them, and I'm bigger than the sum of my parts, just like all of us as communities are
bigger than the sum of our parts. And it's a way of a lens of it's an operating manual in many ways of how you navigate these spaces and kind of come to the places on the journey. Because you have to have the kind of operating system to be.
Got to reach people. How are you reaching people?
Yeah.
How do you meet someone
Yeah.
and connect with them? Because the connection is what makes the longevity.
Yeah.
Like the want of a continued conversation, right? Because another conversation, multiple conversations make a relationship, make a friendship or whatever afterwards.
And it leads
So if you're not interested in talking to somebody, then you just don't, right? So,
and which you puts you at a deficit.
That's
I mean,
right.
it puts you at a stop. You are done. There's a moment you're not done until you stop engaging and
That's
start
right.
connecting.
And we choose that. That's up to us.
And it's totally up to us. And I think that's what makes the difference between art makers and creatives is that we're not done. We're still trying to figure we're like, well, what's this? You lift you go and you see and absorb and hear.
Let me show you. Like
me show
you're
you.
asking me questions.
Yeah.
People that are logically minded and up here. Let's say they're up here in their heads over it being in their hearts. They want to hear about. They want the proof. Like show me that Jesus raised from the dead. That kind of stuff. But it's like there's so much more going on than just that.
Right.
In your heart, things, right? And that's the difference. It's like I'm in my heart just acting from places of love and listening to the channel that is open. As an artist, we're channels.
Yeah.
And when you're listening and you have the faculties and the ability to express, that's when the magic happens, right?
Absolutely. So we had talked earlier, and the whole thing was you talked about the not a traditional pathway.
Yes.
I mean, because I'm not connecting arts, and so did you try to do the pathway, and then you realized it wasn't for you?
If I look back at my expression and the trauma, my stepfather died when I was 8. That was one of the reasons we moved here, and I was very withdrawn because he was my everything. Him and my mom, right? And so I drew a lot. I drew I was doing stuff with rulers. I remember painting these elaborate drawings with rulers and triangles and coloring different shapes and just expressing myself because I needed to. And that was giving me something that talking to people was not resonating, right? People I didn't look like anybody, including people in my family, right? I looked like Prince, right? He's the one who looked the most like me in my periphery. It's and that's how important his music was too, right?
Right. Wow.
And so it's my mama and my grandmama also looked like us, and then Prince, right?
Yeah.
So I would wear, and I'm a straight man. I identify as a straight man, but I would say that I'm definitely genderqueer, and that was brought on by I would wear my mama's, thigh-high boots. And it wasn't because I wanted to be a woman. It's because she wore those boots and ran this city. And so those boots were about power, not a gender, right?
Yeah.
Right? And then Prince has got on panties and a kerchief and a lady's jacket, but getting all the girls. I'm see, y'all are calling him whatever you want, but he's doing his thing, and he's definitely getting more girls than you, right?
Right.
So those things, I always I got up in drag a lot,
Right.
and it was never about sex.
No.
It wasn't about sex. It was about presentation and non-binary gender roles, and what does that mean? Right.
And more of a challenge internally for you versus dealing with the outside world, because it didn't matter what the outside world thought of it.
It was,
it
what it was?
for you.
It was an expression.
Yeah.
it was an
Yeah,
expression. And
okay.
so fashion as an expression,
Yeah.
right? And I also, like, I figured out that there were topless girls in Vogue. I'm in the Rite Aid on Salem Avenue, and I'm looking at this fashion. I'm like, this girl is pretty. Let me look at this. And I'm like, yo, does people know, like, the Playboys are over here. And I know I can't look at those in public. We have them at home, and they never demonize that. I was always allowed to look at the female form. It wasn't sex. Again, it was just the form.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, wow. And I felt like I had figured something out, and I had this secret. It was, I could, like, look at Vogue magazine and be seeing, like, naked girls, and nobody cared. That was what it was about. I'm like, this is great. But fashion, and then also I can look back and be like, that expression and that exposure to high fashion at that age was super influential.
Which also,
right?
too, because it represented a world that wasn't this world.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know, which I completely understand. Like,
Right.
and so you kind of knew. And so, but when the moment came to make the shift, like, you know, when what was it like when that first opportunity to DJ, like first opportunity to kind of, like,
So that's we talked a little bit earlier about the trajectory from my original nightlife experience was the Odyssey.
At the Odyssey
the
Teen Club.
21 and under club, right? Not 21 and up, 21 and under, right? And so just feeling that format and being a child of MTV and like all of our music and like they played the same playlist every week in like the slow jam section and like they would flip a couple, but it was like radio programming, like a top 40 format.
And they kind of knew their audience.
Right. Yeah. And so, and it worked, but like, that's where I needed to be. And my mom always said to just tell Kimyon what he needs to do in order for him to be in the streets because he needed to be in the streets. And I felt like that, I would say from 15 to 45.
Wow.
I needed to be at the function, whatever that was to me at the time. And in those early days, it was the Odyssey. Then it became, doing high school parties. Like in the later years, when you can drive, it's a different thing. You can do house parties. Whose mom is out of town? Well, that's where we're partying, right? And then that with like this giant, radius that we had from the CJ school student body.
Because they were from all walks. Like we talking Trotwood to
Springboro
to
Bellbrook, Lebanon, even. You know what I mean?
Like very different. Yeah.
So then that was high school, and then in high school we started going to concerts.
Yeah.
Going to Hara Arena. I saw so many great shows at Hara Arena, and then going to Riverbend, Lollapalooza. I went to all of those. And like those experiences were formative, right? And I understand, like just being in a big concert with a bunch of people with, cutting edge music of the day, of your generation. And so that ran its course. It's like, but the way I got to New York, I was at Lollapalooza in '94, and I met Mario Sorrenti, who is a renowned fashion photographer.
Yeah. I know that name because I follow.
He's the biggest, right?
He's one of the biggest.
I had front row center seats, and this is the first time I can remember conceiving the VIP section that I did not have access to, right?
Right.
Here's the bend in the front, and then the VIP seats, and I'm like, okay, so I bought these seats, best you can buy.
Yeah.
But they're not the best seats in the
house that you have access to.
So how do you get those seats?
Yep.
You can't buy those seats, I don't think. So I saw Mario Sorrenti, who I didn't know who he was. But, we were all, on psychedelics. I'll just put that out there. 85% of the audience at that time was on psychedelics. The audience, the performers and the audience, right?
It was a mutual psychedelic fest.
Everyone was on that level, right? And so I was on the level. We'll just leave it at that. I had no shoes on. I had on a pair of shorts, no shirt, puka shell necklace, little baby dreads, right? Having the time of my life. And I see Mario having an even better time. I see this guy jumping on the stage with the Beastie Boys. I'm like, how come nobody's telling bro to get off the stage with the Beastie Boys? Nobody.
Nobody.
He was like, yeah, taking shots, jumping off the stage, like walking on all of the rows in the VIP section. I'm like looking for security to be like,
Calm
Nobody
down,
ever came.
Sit down. Yeah.
Right?
No, right.
And so the show broke. It was in between bands, and then I saw him in the courtyard whistling for his friend. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna mess with this dude. So I was whistling, and he was looking around, and we're mentally altered. So I messed with him for like 15 or 20 minutes, and then he realizes that I'm messing with him, and then he looks at me, and it's like friends from another life meeting this time, right? And he's like, hey man, what's up? He's like, I'm doing this thing for Stussy, and we're taking pictures of people that I'm meeting on this tour, and you won't get any money, but you'll get some free clothes. And I'm like, I saw this guy on the stage with the Beastie Boys. He's probably telling the truth. So I said, okay. And then they came literally to Stouffer's Plaza right across the street from where we're sitting. 5 days later, they came. They said, we're at Stouffer's Plaza. Come downtown. And so I came down. They stayed for 2 weeks. They told me they had been to like 15 cities, and they had stayed a couple of days. They stayed at Dayton for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And they left and came back for a third week. And they said, Kimyon, you are a New Yorker, and you don't know it because you have not been. So next summer we want you to come visit us. And so his photo assistant was this guy, Frank Buscarello. Frank is now like one of the top makeup artists in the business.
Wow.
He does like, the Italian Vogue. Like Mario, when he had time, he doesn't have time anymore, but he was doing like 4, Italian Vogue
and American
editorials a year.
Right. And when folks, this is one of the things that I was. Vogue is a global brand, and there are global editions of Vogue. Just clarification for the
Italian
audience.
Vogue is the most avant-garde.
Because it was under.
Yeah,
because the editor at the time was. There's a documentary in her. Go see it.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
So he invited me. In the following summer, the summer of '95, I went to New York for the first time, and I hung out with him and like this crazy group of people, including Mark Ronson and Simon Rex, and he was dating Mila Jovovich, not to name drop or whatever, but that as a kid right from Dayton to New York into the thick of it with like supermodels and like the top photographer then and now. And that I remember going to New York for that first week, and then they just took me to all these places, like just like fanfare, red rope, all of that stuff, right? And then driving out back to Dayton and feeling that energy dissipate, and like being like, I need to figure out how I can get back to that.
How do you get back to that energy?
I was throwing parties, making money, going to New York, getting broke, coming home.
And just you were doing the cycle because you knew. Because there's a different, and I know that energy. That's a different energy. New York is a different energy.
There's no place like it in the world.
None.
Right? And
none,
so
none.
they were right. That was my place. It made,
Yeah.
and New York teaches you how to be yourself, right?
Yeah.
There's easier places to be than New York, but if that's your place, there's no place else to be, right? And that was my place, and I felt that. So I ended up going back and forth for a couple of years, and then I got a scholarship. I got an anonymous benefactor scholarship from a guy in Dayton that will leave anonymous, but he afforded me the opportunity to go anywhere that I wanted to go to school, and he was gonna
make it pay for it. Wow.
And so I had this New York connection, and I'm like, NYU music business, let's go.
Let's go.
They moved me there, and I went to school. I got a degree in audio engineering from the Institute of Audio Research, which was an associate's program. But many legends went to that school and got that little diploma. But it was more of a networking.
Because you were in New York.
Right.
So
I was there, and then I was interning for Roger Sanchez, who won the 2nd Grammy in house music.
Yeah.
The year that I was there, Frankie Knuckles got the first one.
Yep.
Roger Sanchez got the second one, and I was interning for him that year. Now, the rub came when there were 2 NYU master's degree students from the music business program who had gotten their internship from the school in the same place I had gotten my internship from my network and from my experience doing shows here in Dayton. I was booking a couple Chicago DJs, a couple of New York DJs, a couple of Detroit DJs every show. So I was telling friends, like, I'm looking for an internship. And then my friend said, oh, the guy who was managing Casual Records, so that's, the Percolator. So he has Relief Records and Casual Records. So his label manager, Roger, hired this guy, Jermaine Britton. So he was running Narcotic Records, Roger's label. And they said, well, we can get you an internship there. So I got myself that internship from my network. These other two got their internship from their bachelor's degree, master's degree program at NYU.
Right.
But obviously, it's one of the best internships that you can get.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm going to go to school for 5 years to get the thing that I got before I even went there? This makes no sense to me.
Right. Because you're already there.
It created a dilemma and like this, because I was also not allowed to throw parties or DJ. They wanted me to just be in school. And that made me physically ill. I got Bell's palsy. I was away from my whole family, 23 years old in New York, bro. Like it's not the same there, I'll just say, in many ways.
In many ways.
So like 12 million people and no one to talk to is real, right? And so, I was wondering what I was going to do. I'm like, how would I turn this down, like free rent? I was doing it for the rent and the access to the city, not for the education.
Right.
And that also created a dilemma for me,
right,
for this person who was affording me this opportunity, right? Then I met this guy, Vikas, who's from Lima and who was in New York as well. And he's like, yo, Kimmy, what's up when you doing a party, man? This is my boy Rich. He's like, yo, this guy does the best parties I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not really doing parties in school. He's like, oh, well, he's like, if we put up the money, you want to show us how to do this? You still know all those DJs? I'm like, of course I know all those DJs. He's like, let's go. And it's like, that sparked something in me that enlivened me again. When I got out of my head into my heart again, like, oh, this feels right. So we threw a couple of warehouse parties, and then we got a residency at this little club where we were flying people every week from Detroit or Chicago. And we did that for 6 months. And these were artists that all of the New York DJs were playing their music, but no one was booking them to perform. So now in New York, every weekend there's probably 30 Detroit acts. But that was not the case when we got there. And I was encouraged by some talent from New York to come there and do the parties we were doing in the Midwest because no one was doing that. So we got written up so many times that the top clubs started calling, and then I got a residency. Like, we did some parties at the Limelight with Peter Gation. It was legendary. 2 years later, I got to New York at 23 by 25. We were doing the Limelight and Central Fly, which was where Roger Sanchez had his residency.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you work hard and you get places. That's what I've figured about New York, right?
Right.
People can pontificate and like be critics, just like here, but just imagine.
But you
the scale.
The scale there, and also too, feet on the ground, start running.
That's it. do the thing.
Do the thing.
Nobody's gonna do it
no more
for
excuses.
You. No one's coming to your house to get you. Do it. Get out there.
Yeah.
And
no
be
more
the thing that you claim
that you claim you are. Right. Exactly.
Okay. Show me that you're that. Right. I don't want to hear people can talk and people pontificate on when the perfect storm and
never
money comes and after I get married and my first kid it's just like.
Just do it.
Why you're not doing things over and over? Like, just do the thing.
Yeah.
Go out in the rain. You're not going to melt. Get wet and do the thing that you claim to be wanting to do. Wanting is not doing. Doing is doing.
Yeah.
Talking is not doing. Talking about making music is not making music. Talking about throwing a show is not throwing a show.
Talking about dancing is not dancing.
That's it.
Yeah.
Do the thing.
Do it, and
then you become the thing that you are doing through your actions.
And it keeps it. And the thing is, it's like an electric vehicle hybrid. It just keeps building into itself. You get better and faster, and it keeps rolling.
No one can take that away from you.
Exactly.
Right? So people, it's like people can talk, around here, like little piddly, like small town back by, like, just spell my name right. I don't care. Because I'm doing things.
Right. And that's
talk about it, because that means you're thinking about it. So people let's shift away to talk about it, but let's do things together. I'm not here to talk and then hate on you. Like, if you have that much interest, then come and be a part of what we're doing.
I'm Bonnie Miles, Membership Coordinator of CET. Thank you for listening to Rodney Veal's Inspired By. This podcast is a production of CET and ThinkTV, 2 local PBS stations. As PBS stations, the work we do online, on air, and in the community is supported by listeners like you. If you're enjoying the show and would like to support our work, please consider becoming a member at cetconnect.org or thinktv.org. Plus, when you sign up to donate at least $5 a month, you'll get access to special members-only streaming videos on the PBS app through Passport. Learn more at cetconnect.org or thinktv.org.
If you're enjoying this conversation, The Art Show, also hosted by Rodney Veal, is available to stream anytime from anywhere on YouTube or the PBS app.
There was a phrase I heard the other day where somebody said, "Just put the fries in the bag. Just put the fries in the bag.
Just do the thing.
Do the thing.
It.
And that's why I thought was so cool about the fact that the journey is not. It wasn't a straight linear. And that, which is another thing that people always get, is it's going to take you and spiral, and stuff going to happen, and things are going to go down. So but you still had a vision for, like, it can be bigger and more. That's what came through when I first met you.
So Dayton, when I was here, I felt a burning responsibility to bring world-class talent to our world-class city, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Dayton was a lot more vibrant and thriving in the 90s than it is now. Right? That's not a diss. That is an observation.
See, there it goes.
So don't get caught up on my observation of the landscape. That is not an emotional observation. That is a true How do you transform things if you're not being honest about its state that you're trying to transform it from into something? Right? We have to have a vision and know where we are to go somewhere from that place. Right? So coming back here, doing the show in New York, right, has been a wonderful experience.
Right. Let's talk about.
I mean, well, I guess
describe the show.
We're skipping ahead to that.
That's okay. This is a conversation we can.
But it's like. Yeah. So let me go back to the storyline, because this all fits directly in a chronological way. So I started doing multimedia events. We rose very quickly to the pinnacle in the dance music world because we were doing something unique. We were presenting world-class talent that had not had a voice yet, and that was newsworthy. So we got a lot of attention.
Got a lot of traction because people
got a lot of traction.
Eyes and ears on you.
Then the blueprint is now in use that we established. There's Detroit acts at almost every venue in Brooklyn, right? Mm-hmm. The scene moved from Manhattan to Brooklyn. The scene moved from Manhattan to Brooklyn, specifically to Bushwick. I moved to Bushwick in 1999. It was not safe to do parties there, right? But the culture was there already, right? The warehouse movement was there, and then the clubs came in after that, right?
It's always,
but and then so the multimedia thing came in.
Yeah.
Around 2004, I started doing like gallery presentation things with this guy Peter Weiss. Peter Weiss was basically in the office of Kastner and Partners. Kastner and Partners owns Red Bull. So there's the guy who found the Asian product, whose best friend was Kastner. Kastner did like Porsche and Coca-Cola and Volkswagen in the 70s and 80s in Europe, right? Top ad agency. So they ended up coming to New York and taking this office from this guy Peter, who was a textile designer who was his business was made obsolete by the NAFTA and free trade agreements, right? So he can no longer do manufacturing. He rented his building to Kastner. So he is a brilliant artist. He started curating these shows. My friend was doing some graphic design for him. He's like, this guy's doing these crazy multimedia shows, but they're kind of hokey, and he needs like some young energy to like mix it up to like
kind of
it's not don't throw everything out that he's doing, but like he needs some youth and vitality in the mix with what he's doing with his establishment approach,
right?
But still being like an avant-garde, like anti-establishment guy, right? So we started doing shows together. So like 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. like a gallery presentation, say 20 art, a group show about 20 visual artists.
Okay.
Performance art throughout the, program, a jazz trio early, into bands in the middle of the night, into DJs at the end of the night, right? So your grandma can come early. Mm-hmm. If you like bands, cool. If you want to stay for the dance party, cool. Also brought a whole 3 different cycles of patrons, So that was my multimedia presentation. That's when we started pushing the art and the music together.
Right.
At a premiere presentation on both sides. Because, you go in clubs and there'll be like paintings that aren't lit, that are little, and it looks like a box when the lights goes off, right?
It's like you're like...
Or a crappy, one speaker DJ set up in a gallery, right? So let's have both of the, art and music
at the level,
production levels be premiere.
Yes. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. So that was our aim, and it was before like this. It's like the expression of multimedia has come a long way into 2026, where everyone's like, oh, I'm a painter and I make music and I do. So we were doing that, but it wasn't a trendy thing, right?
Right.
So I stopped working with Peter. We went our separate ways. In 2011, I started Futures Now. The first one was in Detroit during the Movement Festival. I got a whole floor of a loft building from a friend, like referred from guys. My Detroit connections are pretty vast.
Right.
And so they got me this space. I brought 4 artists from New York, including myself, and we did floor-to-ceiling murals and installations. I brought like a bunch of 10-foot paintings, set those all up. And then we had a band from New York, and then we had Juan Atkins and Suburban Night and Boo Williams and Glenn Underground and Kyle Hall. So we had like 3 Detroit, 3 Chicago, and a band from New York. So that's, kind of our music programming is consistent of Chicago and Detroit representation. So we represented it that way. And then they did multiple events in that space through the course of that, festival weekend. The next one we did in Miami during Art Basel, and then in 2013 we did our biggest production in New York with about 80 artists in a 3-day presentation. We had Ralph McDaniels, famously of Video Music Box, who's presented every hip-hop artist in the world. Their first video, film, has always been his show. So Showtime did a documentary on him about 3 or 4 years ago. I think Nas produced it. Yeah. So he did a VJ set. He interviewed me and the other producers for Video Music Box, so we're a part of that legacy as well. We had Jean-Michel Basquiat's band Grape perform one of a few shows that they've done since his passing in the 80s. And just from 21-year-olds to 70-year-old legends in that show. Right, and so then we also had a live PA day, where we had all performances of live hardware of dance music. So that show blew up, and there was a lot of people in that show that went on to do huge things. Right. I'm not saying that I claim any of them. I'm saying some of them I definitely noticed their talent before they acknowledged the talent themselves. Right. And I've had other people tell me that was a launching point for their career, that the affiliation that happened with those artists in that context, in that time. Because we had urban contemporary artists, street artists.
You had the mix. I mean, which is what it's supposed to be.
MFA guys and self-taught together, right? Because that is the landscape, right? That's what the world is made up.
Right, and it should never be so vanilla that it's all the same.
Yeah, and the hierarchical nepotism that it's included in just like the academia part of art is gross.
Yeah.
You know, and people, I get ridiculed in that regard because I curate myself into my own shows, right? Am I supposed to wait for you to give me an opportunity to have an art career because that's the way you guys said it should be? Well, I've never done that.
No.
I've never waited for somebody to give me anything. I go and I get it, right?
None of the permissions.
So I've curated myself and other people who are self-taught endlessly into shows, and it's given us a place to, you know, leverage because it's inclusion, it's visibility, it's exposure, right?
And it makes for an experience that people may not have expected because they, a lot of times people go to things, they go, oh, I see the thing with the list. I'm like, okay, I know that's what I know what I'm getting. But then there's this surprise of like, I discovered something new.
The periphery.
They discovered that there's layers, there's circles, and the concentric circles of experiences within an experience that you should be having, but you're not having because you were like denying yourself because you think you only, because it's a whole thing that we're probably going to have a conversation about tonight at a meeting.
Right, sure.
about
sure.
Like, how do we keep that mix? And so, and like I'm very curious about how the idea to bring it back home, which was really what drew us all in that room at Peter's Collaboratory. It's like, bring it home. Bring this stuff home.
So we did the one big show, and then the next year, and then 2014, we did a show at Damon Dash's place, Poppington Gallery. It was a little bit smaller, about 50 artists, same multi-day programming, you know, musical performances. Then we started moving towards like doing a festival, right? And then the pandemic happened, and I met this guy, Peter Young from Hubcast Media, and he was doing Beyonce concerts and Coldplay concerts and Major League Baseball in Canada were basically his wheelhouse. And we met him through the United Nations, and he's like, we want to do cultural programming in our platform. He didn't really have time until everything shut down, and he's like, hey, let's go. And so our thing of like a festival or 50, 100 artists group shows, we couldn't do that anymore. But I had my studio where we could do one artist at a time and a few DJs. So that's the Futures Now experience was born out of that necessity to continue the expression and the presentation and the curation and community that we had been fostering. That needed to continue even in the midst of all the other things that were happening. So in October of 2020, we started doing a weekly show, and we did 5 years of weekly shows, 50 shows a year. So we've done 250 shows in New York. We've done episodes in Miami. We've done Detroit, but mostly in New York, mostly in Brooklyn. So we did a group show in December of 2024 in Manhattan in a 5-level building with this members club called the CX. That's this guy, Will Ntundi, like I used to play his warehouse parties. Now he's got this membership venue, and he does programming for his members. And so he goes like in places for a year or so. So this was the end of his run at this place. So he said, we don't have any programming in December. It's a short notice, but do you want to do it? So I jumped on the opportunity. This is case in point. Was it a perfect opportunity? Was it budgeted properly? And no, but we did it.
Right.
So we brought all those paintings that we had collected and done together for this 5-year run and displayed them in this 5-level building. And we did panel discussions. We did performances.
And the full-on arts experience.
And people walked in and were enamored. It's very overwhelming and like empowering at the same time. And so we showed all the paintings and had video installations of from the show. So we have at this point a couple thousand hours of shows. And so we presented the digital and the physical work over a multi-day experience. So we're growing this project globally. We really baked something. It's like a lot of people are not selling the cake; they're selling batter, and milk, but they got great marketing. But we took the time to make the cake, right?
You're
And
right,
now we're
right.
marketing the cake,
And I saw the
the
manifestation.
thing.
And
We got the thing that we made.
and I saw the manifestation of the thing.
That's right.
And so my experience of it was like, yes. I was like, yeah, I wanted, because I met people that I didn't know.
That's right.
I heard sounds I needed to hear as a reminder. I mean, so I saw artists doing what they do, and there's something magical about the alchemy, the energy of all of those combined in a space.
Right.
And then it says, okay, that opens up Dayton. All right.
And so Tamiko and I went to high school together.
Yeah.
She was a fixture in the rave scene when we were coming up. She was at all of our shows. Her guy, Paul, was my sound guy. Paul, who's helping us with all the shows.
Oh,
Been my sound guy since the 90s, and he is a genius at what he does, right?
Right. And he's in Dayton, Ohio, so I'm just letting you know.
Say what?
He's in Dayton, Ohio. I'm just letting you know.
That's right. But he will travel for work.
He
Holler
travels work.
back.
And he's
Paul McDermott. Shout out to Paul McDermott.
There we go.
My dude right there.
Yeah.
And so Tamiko got a degree from the School of Art or the School of Drawing and Sculpture, which is Andy Warhol School. She got her MFA from there. And so she was there we were together in New York for quite a while. She came back to Dayton, ended up staying, and she's like, "You need to move back." I said, "Well, I don't necessarily want to move back. I want to share what my experiences and my network and the things that I think will benefit this community, and the fact that not to run people out of Dayton, but you can go other places and win from Dayton, right? And you can also, we don't have to choose. It's like, that's what people are like, oh, well, welcome back. I'm like, I haven't really left, but like, I'm still here, and I'm here in a more visible way.
Right.
And I'm here to help foster the next generations, to help people get out of their way, to stop talking about what's wrong, and to do things in the direction towards what you feel is right?
Yeah.
Do an event, do a small thing, have a gallery in your living room, like whatever.
Right.
Complaining is for the birds, though, so let's
Absolutely.
stop that, right? So Tamiko's like, well, let's do and she's been watching this whole growth. We've started a global organization.
Yeah.
I have a board of advisors that's got some really amazing heavy hitters on it, and coming to Dayton and forming the committee, which is how I met you, and let's get the thinkers together. Let's get the people,
And the thinkers and the doers, the people
are
who
the doers.
Yeah,
and let's do.
Right, because the thing is, what I notice about the people that have come together, we're not all doing this for self-aggrandizement. I don't give a shit. I use the word. Oh, Mike. Oh, he's gonna blurt me out. but we recognize the power of what that does, and you honestly, every time Tamiko and I would look at each other and we're like, this is cool. Yeah, we get it, and so we're like, let's just get out the way. Let's
figure out what it is. Not about a budget, not about the perfect story. It's, we're doing this. Where's it going to be is the thing.
Right.
How much it costs will be determined a lot by where that space is, right? So
quite frankly,
I'm not getting caught up on that. Where is it going to be? Not when or if.
Right.
Where?
Where's it
We
gonna
know
be?
when it's going to be. We've identified all that, right?
Yeah, and
So as we collectively manifest, like Dayton's on a bedrock of quartz crystal. Crystal amplifies things, good and bad.
Yes.
Be in your good mind, because you're amplifying through the crystal bedrock. You're amplifying the bad things too. So please be mindful of that.
And manifest and amplify the good stuff. And so
That's it.
And so one of the things that you're proof positive that it's not about it's not about the accolades and all the stuff, because that gets in the way. It truly is about the process. It's about the deep dive, the investigation, the connecting through, and the doing. And so, what would you say to someone, like, and you're saying it, but I really want to reiterate to people who, what would you say to people who would allow things to get in the way of them doing?
It's the easiest thing to do. Miles Davis, in his autobiography, talks about how we're all our own worst enemies, right? We are. we sabotage ourselves. We destroy our own opportunities and success. And as much success I've had as many failures, if not more, right? But if you don't learn from your failures, you keep having those, right? So concentrate on what you want, you know? Tell me what you want on your sandwich, not what you don't want on your sandwich, right?
Tell me what you want. Because that's what I hear a lot with art. And I'm like, people telling me what they don't want to see in the art scene. I'm like, well.
Don't put truth to power by saying it.
Right.
Because words, spelling, you are manifesting by things. You're manifesting things by saying them. Right. Whether you acknowledge your own power or not does not negate the truth of that.
Exactly. And that's where we're in agreement. It's like, don't tell me what you don't want. Tell me what you do want. I see, why not? I'm like, well, I'll try it once. I have done so many things as an art maker where I'm like, you probably should have worn goggles when somebody's throwing paint at you, but you know what? You learn your lesson.
You miss all of the shots.
I had a good time, though.
You miss all the shots you don't take.
Right.
And you cannot sit on the sidelines and win. You must be present to win. You must be present to win.
Period. Yeah.
Do the thing that you say you want to do. Don't talk about it, because talk is cheap. I hear what you say and I watch what you do. I'm judging you by what you do, because people say all kinds of crazy things because of whatever circumstance led them to say the crazy thing. Oh, well, I said that when I don't care. The president on down. I'm hearing what you say and I'm watching what you do and I'm judging you by what you do.
Or not do.
And nothing, and silence, no response is also a response, okay?
Yeah.
No response is also a response. Listen to people when they tell you who they are, and they will show you very soon. If you choose, listen, if somebody shows you their behavior 2 or more times, that's who they are as a person. Accept them for who they are, bumps and bruises, or move on. And if you don't move on, blame yourself for not moving on, because that person has as much control over your life as you give them. If you give them all the control, they'll have it all. A celebrity will stand on the pedestal and be famous if that's how you treat them. And if you treat them like a person, that's how they act. So people treat you how you want to be treated, how they want to be treated. If you listen, that's up to you. And that will create a lot of strife in your life, right? Another one, don't be mad at people when they don't do what they say they're going to do. Just be doing the thing that you want to do. And maybe people will stop and pause and help you and do and keep their word, but don't get caught up. I wasted years. I can speak to the years I wasted waiting for guys who I loved and respected as artists who didn't love and respect me as artists, right? But I was waiting for them to do the thing and them like telling me in confidence that my talent was great, but people want you to do well but not better than them. Okay? So I can't be mad at you for your guarding your position and your renown or whatever. I'm not like that. I've always been shepherding the community. I'm like, no, guys, come. Because there's the king mentality and the shepherd mentality, which is more glorious, right? The king goes first. The shepherd goes last, okay? Which is more important.
I am so glad we had this conversation.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about. And so, folks.
Well, let's go back to the futures now, just for a second.
Now.
We bring it back to the Dayton part. Yeah. So we're going to bring this entire collection to show. And we're going to bring some of these artists, including Al Diaz, who was Jean-Michel Basquiat's partner in Samo, which was Jean-Michel Basquiat's first public work. He's been on the show about 5 times. He's going to come. We're going to do panel discussions. He's going to do some public work. Him and a few other people of his caliber that have been on the show, we're going to bring them. The reason we're doing the live stream once a month is to get 24 Dayton artists into the show.
Into the show.
So we're presenting. Yeah. And the magnitude of the opportunity for the Dayton artists is this. You are being grouped with international renown and iconic visionaries of the day. Not to negate what they're doing, But that is not an opportunity that is common here.
No. And that
So-
provides the vehicle for what it is.
Right.
And that's why I think everybody that's on the committee that's meeting tonight is on board, because it's for the opportunity for others, not us.
We're going to bring
Come
New
on.
York renown and New York artists, their work, their bodies, and then we're affiliating locals with that
Bringing them into
international
and let,
draw.
Well, the thing is, it's like mixing water with the seeds and the planting of the seeds.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not telling them what kind of plant's going to grow out of it. You just said, I've planted the seeds, I watered it, go.
That's it.
And now it's on you. Now
Yeah.
it's on you.
So I think another premise that is important to keep in mind is that we're not running into town and running back out of town. We're turning this on to stay on, to continue to grow,
And-
right? And then as this grows to other cities, it becomes this global network where people are a part of a global community, right? So you can plug into the Detroit, the London,
Yeah.
the Paris.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what we're building towards. I think that it's extremely important. It's like to go directly from Dayton to New York, and then from Dayton back to New York, or from New York back to Dayton with
Vice
what
versa.
I've learned. Right?
Right? The pipeline goes both ways.
That's right. It's a thoroughfare. Right.
Fair. Yeah.
It's going both ways. So I'm very happy to be back here in this capacity. I haven't done a show in Dayton. I mean, well, we've been doing these shows, but before that, it was 1998 were the last show that I did
Yeah.
here.
So having you back as a DJ, you're strong, man. I was back there. I was like, I had my brain went someplace else last night. I didn't go to bed till midnight because I was thinking about things. So
That's
thank you.
right. That's
Thank you.
the point. So
That
it's
is the
like,
point, yeah.
We're not bringing downtown Dayton back to vitality by talking about how it's so dead. We're
Yeah.
going to bring vitality through activity, right?
Yeah.
So let's you arts organizations, all you folks, let's less meetings and more checks like for the arts. Let's put this money to work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of funding and abundance in this community, right?
Yeah.
Let's put some of that down here.